Hey, if you sell stuff online, you know how busy 2020 was. Everybody and their dog was shopping online. Well, get ready for 2021. It's going to be even bigger. That's why online sellers like you need ShipStation. No matter how much you sell, ShipStation makes it super easy to manage and ship all your orders from all your sales channels faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. Ship with any carrier using their deeply discounted rates. Automate just about any shipping task. With ShipStation, you'll spend a lot less time on shipping and a lot more time growing your business. That's why ShipStation has more 5-star reviews than any other shipping software. That's what you got to do. I don't care if you're on Amazon, you're on Etsy, you're on eBay, you're just selling your Spike's Car Radio hats. It doesn't matter. I use ShipStation to get them out the door, and now you can too. So go to ShipStation.com. You're going to use my code SPIKE911. You're going to get 2 months free. That's a 60-day free trial using SPIKE911 at ShipStation.com. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and type in SPIKE911. 2 free months. That's my gift to you. We're all going to make ship happen this year. Now, let's start the show.
And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Here we are, Spike's Car Radio, first podcast of the new year. How are you guys? I'm here in Baldwin Hills with Zuckerman, his fresh bat from Mexico. Our friend Magnus Walker is with us.
Woohoo! Feliz Año Nuevo.
We've got a good show for you today. We wish you well. Zuckerman, let's start with you, because I don't know if you heard. You don't listen to the podcast. We were talking about that you were probably in Mexico kidnapping Americans and putting them in holes and trying to extract money out of them. What did you drive down there is my real question for you.
Okay. And that's always the same thing, pretty much.
Yes.
The 2003 M5, the E39 that Magnus took out recently.
Wow. And why is that always the car from Mexico?
Because it's the perfect freeway crusher. It's got 4 doors. It's got a nice capacious trunk.
Capacious.
It's got like my trousers after Mexico. And and it just has the grunt. And it's sufficiently at this point under the radar that it's not really noticed. People don't really get it.
When you go to Mexico and you think of this deadly pandemic, most people would not go, hey, I want to go to Mexico for the deadly pandemic.
Safer where I was.
Safer, why? Why do you say that?
First of all, on the beach where
Do they have any sort of hospital support where you are?
Yeah, but listen, on the beach where I am,
yeah,
okay, it is sparsely populated.
Okay.
My family has several houses down there.
Yes.
And everybody's been quarantining there. Many of my relatives have been down there quarantining, my nieces, my nephews, their children. My daughter's been down there a lot. And so they're not coming into contact with anybody. Somebody typically goes to the market once a week, and then there's a rotating dinner. I'm not going to the bus station
do they get
in
tested
Tijuana.
Down there? Are they getting tested? How do you keep track of something like that?
Before-
Everything you're saying is the type of thing you say before everybody gets COVID-19.
There's a difference.
There's no contact, but once a week they go to the market.
There's a difference.
I'm just saying, like, how do you...
Once a week to the market is not bad. First of all, there are protocols that are established by my niece and nephew. One of them is an engineer. The other one's a doctor.
What are the protocols from the niece and the nephew?
Okay, first of all, before you go down there,
Yes.
you have to test.
Okay.
After you get down there, you have to isolate. Then you have to test.
Did you isolate
again.
down there?
Yes.
For how long?
Okay, I isolated. I stayed away from particularly the elderly for several days. And I have
2
the
days
little
of isolation.
pin, but I tested beforehand, my dear
Yes.
friend. Now, you want to laugh and poo-poo. So far, nobody down there's got it, motherfucker, so you can poo-poo all you want.
I'm just saying, I hope you're being careful. Because I have not heard a 2-day
You're going
isolation
to cars
ever.
and coffee. You're the one
I
that's
did
the
not
bigger
go today.
risk taker than I am.
Well, I don't worry about outside. I don't worry about
Really?
the outside. No, not
Really,
at all.
when Tony No Mask Tony comes up and blasts your
No
face.
Mask
John
Tony.
Rockley.
Yes.
You know who No Mask Tony is? Magnus?
He's friends with Johnny Rotten, right? I mean, come on. You can't have a conversation without Tony without talking about Johnny
What do you
Rotten.
think about No Mask Tony's No Mask?
It's his style, you know. He's so good looking, you know. Why cover that face up with a mask?
To not kill people?
Hey, he's friends with Johnny Rotten. How bad can it be? I just want to know if you were wearing Speedos down in Mexico on the beach.
I will tell you, I did go into the ocean one time. I did not wear Speedos, but I went in my underwears.
Oh.
Okay,
My underwears.
my underwears, because it was the right time. It was January 1st, and it was surprisingly warm in the air. And I walked down to the beach, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I am going to baptize and bless myself, wash away 1/1,000,000th of my sins.
Whoa.
And I jumped in, and it was so cold.
Sounds like you were Wim Hofing to me, like a cold plunge.
You could not even feel the water. That's how cold it was. It just was nothing.
Tingling.
That's how cold. It was just such a shock. It was so overwhelmingly cold that you couldn't feel it.
That is fascinating.
How long were you in for?
Hold on, guys.
Not very much.
Not really.
Okay, go back
Let's
to
do
your
an ad.
show.
Yeah,
Who?
well, I might as well. I mean, tingling ocean water is a fascinating subject
exciting.
that I'd like to
Exciting
stay
stuff.
on. But let's talk about Happy New Year's from our friends at Manscaped. Best in men's below-the-waist grooming offers precision. Magnus, you could use some of this stuff. Precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And it's here. Do you do any manscaping? Do you keep your balls clean?
You know, Hannah's very good at that type of activity, so...
Now, Hannah, your girlfriend, Hannah Elliott.
Yeah, Hannah Elliott is very good at keeping me groomed, whether it's my fingernails
seriously,
or...
she grooms you.
Hannah keeps me looking good in all places, so yeah, I'm all about it.
So wait, seriously, and we can stop the Manscaped ad for a second because we're into an interesting subject already. You mean she asks you to keep yourself groomed, or she's doing the grooming of you?
Oh, no. It's a conversation. There's always a conversation, whether it's the fingernails, the mustache, the toenails.
Right.
She brings it to your attention.
She does
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
she's not down, clipping and trimming.
No, down below, no, that's wild, that's organic. The beard is trimmed, the flavor saver is trimmed.
Zuckerman.
But, down below,
I'm
the
getting
Speedo line,
mixed signals right now.
it's
I'm getting
all
mixed
organic.
signals.
There's no mixed signals. This is how it is. It's organic.
Well, do you
down
need
below.
some new tools? Because Manscaped is here to help you, Magnus.
No, I mean, my New Year's resolution is trying to get rid of split ends on my beard, actually. That is my New Year's resolution. Split ends on the beard.
Perfect for
I don't
Manscaped.
think-
You could be the Manscaped 2021.
Yeah, you really
poster
could
child.
be their poster
Could
child.
be.
The before,
Could be.
before and after.
Because Zuckerman, who is a very astute observer of human nature, has observed everything that's just happened to you.
Yes, he's good at that. He's something
What do you make of what they just said? Because there's a little truth in there, and there's some obfuscation going on too.
Yes, I don't think Magnus wants to admit that Hannah would trim his
no.
bottom whiskers if she and probably
Why not?
hasn't would and would be happy to.
No. I mean,
Have you not trimmed the whiskers of your significant other ever in history?
No.
Never?
Why would I do that, you pervert?
Because you need help. Sometimes people need help to get to the crevices in different places.
cracks and crevices.
I have
don't-
certainly done that.
What are you saying?
Not for a girl, sure.
You're talking like bung whiskers on a female that you were married
I
to?
did not say that. And I
Okay,
did
I'm
not
just-
say it was my wife. But I said, like monkeys, we're all primitive monkeys. We tend to groom each other and help each other.
I have seen Hannah grooming Magnus all the time. She picks at him like a little nitpicker. She picks at his beard and
Well,
That's
food out of
not
the beard.
grooming. That's just any, spouse
Maintenance.
saying, "Hey, can you clean yourself up a little bit?"
okay. When I
I
take
thought what he
care-
was saying was she's down there with the shears, the cutting shears.
no, I mean, there's no scalpel and shears, I mean, it's a long story, but everything down here is organic. I mean,
What does
So
that
you
mean?
just let
What does the
he-
organic
Organic
mean?
means that he's as
it's not
hairy
groomed,
as he
ungroomed,
could be.
ungroomed. Ungroomed down below.
I don't
That's
even
a
want to do
lot.
the ad. This is way better than the Manscaping
Yeah.
ad. Well,
Beardos
Magnus,
and weirdos,
okay,
that's
so
all I'm
you
gonna
really
say.
are perfect for
No.
this product,
Yes,
Manscaped.
and could we? Have you ever?
Can
have
we get you some
ever
stuff?
groomed down there? Like,
Personally, have I ever groomed on the front? No, I never groomed down there. I just like it the way it is.
And
Hannah's got in and trimmed other areas, but, other areas.
okay, what if Manscaped?
this is a
would-
preservation thing. This
Yes.
is why he likes preservation Porsches.
What
he
if-
likes them exactly the way they came
What
out
if
of the factory.
Manscaped was to offer you
Yes.
a significant amount of money to undergo their treatment, would you do it?
No. I mean,
it's not a treatment. They have tools that will help you.
Hannah and I have had fun with waxing before. Here's the story. I let Hannah wax my butt one time, and it felt great for a couple of days until the stubble came back. And then the stubble leads to ingrowing hairs, and then Hannah loves picking around and prodding around. And ingrowing hairs on your butt when you're getting pimples, these are not fun things. So.
This is great.
So when they grow back in that region, it's like little pig bristles coming in?
Kind of, yeah. So you gotta go through that process. So I would not advise any dude to do that process with wax, no matter how fun it may seem at the time. Later on, when it's growing through, it's not fun.
At the time.
Yeah.
At the time.
In the moment.
Well, Magnus, you need to go to manscaped.com then and enter my promo code SPIKE911, or have Hannah do it, and you're going to get 20% off the Manscaped stuff, which I use and I love. You get Ball Reviver, Crop Reviver, the Lawnmower 3.0. It's got plastic gears in it, so it doesn't bite you.
Plastic gears.
Go to manscaped.com, use my code SPIKE911, and
this is fantastic.
You'll have new year and new balls. That's what I think you should do. New year, new balls.
It's a good thought. I'm happy with the pair I've got. Hannah seems happy with them as well.
Magnus showed up in a Lotus Evora GT, and I have one. I'm guessing that is a long-term loaner, right? Did we get these the same day?
Did you get it on the rainy Tuesday?
I punted to the next day because I didn't want a rainy car.
We've already got like almost 400 miles on ours. We've driven it quite a bit. Almost 400 miles.
400, wow.
Yeah, we're in. It rained on Tuesday when the car got delivered, so we ran to the hills on Wednesday because we had to get in the snow in the crest. So we were in snow within 24 hours, and then we did the New Year's Day hangover run. And
what do you suspect the 1,000 miles is for? Why are they saying
1,000 miles? He told me 4,000 miles.
Right, between 1 and 4, right.
He told me you can have it. You put 4,000 miles on it. Is what I was told.
Right, but he said you have to. The requirement was that you have at least 1,000 miles.
I never do what people tell me to do, but
right. I
thought about giving it back early, with less miles, but it's probably a bit too soon.
But
for
do you have
that.
any idea why that? It's such an odd thing to ask.
How many miles were on your car when you got it? Couple
500?
Yeah, okay.
Couple hundred, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're just breaking them in, right?
Yeah, maybe. But,
This is the third one I've had, actually, in 2 years. And I will say, when I first got it, I thought it was great. I really thought it was great. This time around, I'm thinking a little bit differently about it. You got to work New Year's Day was a great experience with that car. The hangover run. There were at least, 70 or 80 Porsches on a spirited drive, and it shows where that car needs more horsepower is what it needs.
Mm-hmm. You thought so? I thought this was the best version I've driven of a Lotus car yet. Largely that had to do with CarPlay.
Okay.
That I could plug in my phone, put it in the glove box, and now I've got information for once, and instead of a dumb radio I'm never going to use.
I never touched it.
The sound is better, the steering is better and more responsive. It is not without its issues, but this is the first time I've driven a Lotus product where I went, you know what, now it's getting to be something that I might buy, I'd be interested in buying it.
I've honestly gone backwards, and I own a Lotus Esprit. I've owned Lotuses. I currently have a 79
So tell me why.
Esprit.
Why has it gone backwards, in your opinion?
Well, when I first got it 2 years ago, and we drove back from Monterey in it, Hannah and I drove up to Monterey in a Lamborghini, whatever, Aventador, whatever it was. We couldn't get our luggage in it. Lamborghini had to take our luggage. On the way back, came back in the Lotus Evora 2+2, got our two 22-inch carry-ons in it, and had a fun drive back almost as quick as we went up. And I had that car, probably did 1,000 miles, and I thought it was great. I thought very few cars were faster in real-world situations, comparing it to even a McLaren 570 and the Crest. I didn't think those cars were that much quicker. The Lotus was super usable. But third time around, having done this run and put well over 300 miles on it in a few days, I'm seeing some weak spots in it. And I hate to say it, but the whole ignition thing's super annoying, but separate of that.
So talk everybody through that. Most people aren't going to know what you're talking about.
The Lotus key is the most annoying thing about the car, right?
It's a skeleton key.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to the point where, I even had a little post on Instagram about my pet peeve. I had to get out the handbook to read about the key, and within 5 minutes, I've got the Lotus guy in England, and it's midnight there, Rob Barrett, emailing me, basically saying, hey, this is how you operate the key. I'm sorry you weren't told about the key. Because when Corey dropped it off, I'm like, does it still have the same annoying key issue? And he says, yes. So he drops it off in the rain. I got to open it. It won't open. I have to put the key in it. I put the key in it old school to turn it because the button wasn't working. I get in there, put the key in the ignition, turn it, hit the second button, car, press the start button, won't start. Then I do it one more time, then the alarm goes off. So then I call Corey up on the phone. The alarm's going off. It's torrential downpour. He says to me, you have to get out of the car, lock it, and then unlock it.
Right.
I go, dude, that's so annoying. Plus, it's torrential downpour. So I get out the car, lock it, unlock it, get back in. Still doesn't start. It's something about the Lotus logo you press right to lock it.
Yes.
And then the button below, you press it once to unlock it, twice to unlock both doors. And he's telling me you got to put the key in, turn it, press the button on the ignition key, and then press the start button. Just way too complicated.
Yes.
It's like
Just
today.
keep that mic aimed right at
It's
like
way
this.
too
It's very
complicated.
directional.
So today we come in, I go to the warehouse, I pull in to get you two guys Hot Wheels. I leave the key in the car, go in the warehouse. I'm not even in there 60 seconds, come back out again, press the start button, won't start again. So the key is the most annoying thing. Apparently the key's from a Ford Mondeo or something, according to the guys in England. It's antiquated. The key sucks. That's not the good part.
It's too many keys altogether.
And
is
that
the
happened
issue.
to you too, right?
No. I mean, I'm...
Same but different.
I lock here. It can also work if you leave the car, you lock the car, you come back, you unlock it. You don't have to press any buttons. You turn the key and then you press the button. It all works.
See, my problem
But
is...
it is it's one too many things. Either you have a key that you turn and it starts the car, or you have an electronic key where you just sit in and you press the button. You don't want to have to do all of those things.
Right, the immobilizer bit.
And the immobilizer is something, when did we last deal with that?
It's really
993?
993,
Yes.
98,
And
right?
And
That
it's
was a
annoying
pain
on the
in ass.
993,
Yes,
but
right.
here's my issue. I never lock a car. And I'm a big fan of leaving the key in it because that way I know where the key is.
Oh, you
so
can't
that's
do
part
that.
of my problem. You cannot do that with the Lotus.
Not that one, because
know-
if you leave it in the ignition, you
Which
brick
you
it
did,
out.
right?
Which I did. I bricked it out on the first day.
Oh,
And
that-
didn't you do the same thing?
No, it just wouldn't start. Then the alarm was going off. It's ringing.
I just left the key in there and walked
And
out
a
of my
train.
garage without thinking, and
Yeah.
I came out the next day. There was no battery, but
Oh.
I had fun.
Yeah.
I honestly had a good time.
That
I
didn't
had
happen
nothing
to me.
do.
But back to where it lacks. It's great at cornering. It's super nimble. It turns in great. It shifts awesome. But it lacks real grunt. Like in real world situations, Cayman GT4s walk away from it in a straight line. There's a lot of... It just needs more horsepower. So we're in sport mode. I'm trying to get in... This is my other pet peeve with it. We're driving. I'm like, hit the rev limiter a couple of times in second and third gear. So, we are going pretty fast in sport mode. I want to get into race mode, so I just press race button. Doesn't go into race mode.
You got to hold it.
You got to hold it for a second. This
Right.
is counterintuitive.
Well, that's taking off traction control. That I actually understand a little bit.
But you should be able to just press it, not press it for a second.
You know what button I didn't understand is when you have it in sport mode and you turn off the exhaust sound.
Oh.
Like, what is that for? How
Yeah,
do you use
The
that?
exhaust button I never touched. That doesn't make it any faster.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's.
I
don't
had
know.
to get out the manual twice with this car, and I'm not the type of guy that gets out the manual.
Well, I'm having a very different experience with mine. The first thing I did when Corey called was I said, I need to have my choice of colors.
Oh, okay.
Don't send me something I'm not going to like to look at
You
because
got a
I'm going to
manual,
be.
though, right?
What's that?
You got a manual, right?
I did, yeah. But I said I will be. What I didn't say to him is I'll be predisposed to not liking this car if you send me a bright yellow or a white thing,
white
and
one.
then I'm not going to put 1,000 miles on it. So they sent me Epsom green. It's
a good
called, but it's
color.
a dark green
Good
metallic with a black interior. So already I'm loving it. The kids freaked out over it. They like it, and so far driving it, and I've only been on just dailing it. People around Brentwood or out in Malibu have really been digging it. The color and how it looks. They think it's a Ferrari every time I'm in
It's
it.
the color.
Visually,
But they think visually it's a Ferrari.
visually
Nice
the
Ferrari.
car's impressive. It looks good.
Right, but I have to say I've also been enjoying driving it, and it reminded me of a 74, and I don't mean literally, a 74 RSR. That
No way.
IROC car that
no
Jerry
way.
had.
74 SR is
The
a
steering
screamer.
is so precise, and the
Mate.
feedback from the road is precise. That's the car that popped into my head. That's the car it reminded me of. Now, power-wise, no, and it doesn't handle like a Porsche. But for a fun little spin-around-town sports car, fantastic. I have a little issue I can't see behind me.
Yeah,
There's that little issue.
But I'm used to that. I mean, when you're driving the Senna, you can't see behind. There are lots of cars. I don't mind that so much. But in this car, the mirrors don't cover you.
Right.
So you are even where I parked here, when I had to
Backing up.
back up, I had to have Zuckerman help me so I didn't crash.
That rear three-quarter visibility is not good.
It's
Those
rough,
louvered
right?
slats don't help it with the carbon
Yeah,
package.
and there's no storage in it, which is another issue.
I think the storage is pretty good, but to me, it does not.
Where is it?
The
Where,
two seats behind, that's where we got those two
Yeah, those are
22-inch
seats. That's
carry-ons.
not storage.
You can get two 22-inch carry-ons there.
Right.
It doesn't feel like 416 horsepower to me.
I
And
feel
the
it.
brakes, I've already told them about the brakes.
What
I don't know
happened with
about
the brakes?
Mine are super soft and spongy
Oh,
to the
mine are
point where
nice.
when you heel and toe and you're hard on the brakes, late braking, the brake pedal goes down beyond
Right,
the accelerator pedal. So they're not. It's soft. There's no initial bite. There's too much travel where you're maxed out on the brake and you got to back off to heel and toe.
Wow, so you've driven this car harder than I have, because I've just been dilly-dallying around town in it and enjoying myself.
Yeah, you got it.
How old is this particular car?
87 years.
86, exactly.
Lotus has been around since 1948, so by my math, it's whatever
Right,
that is.
but this particular
72
version of the car is
Several years old.
yes. So and it's getting a
It
little,
felt to me really sharp in 2018. Today in 2021, on that run 2 days ago, it didn't feel super sharp.
and it's a plus.
I
and
think it's so
six-
much better. I think it's the best one that I've been
You
in.
just got a fresh one.
Well,
Yeah.
my last complaint was this is a great little GT3-like manual gearbox sports car, but they should just finish it with some sort of infotainment system to make it usable.
When I drove it a while back, I thought it was the ultimate track car.
Yeah,
I liked
right.
it. I said, okay, this is something that I would actually want to go to the track.
Yeah, and I'll tell you-
and use it like that.
And I'll tell you something else. Like, I always say this is my dumb speed bump test, but I hit 20 speed bumps to and from my house, getting up to my house. This is so short. The wheelbase is so short. You can fly over the speed bumps at like 50 miles an hour.
Oh, and
and my
neighbors
wife's
like
530i Performance, we have to go 4 miles an hour because you'll just this thing like zings.
It does
I
have
find-
good ground clearance.
I
You don't
find
have
it
to
to
worry
be
about
like
splitting
one
the
of the coolest little go-karty sports cars I've ever driven.
Would you spend 100 and what is it, 110, 120?
I would
like
if
that?
I wanted a really tiny kind of exotic car experience. And where I think it's got the Cayman beat is in the styling. It's a beautiful exotic look of a car where the Cayman is fairly common. This thing makes a great noise now.
It stands
makes a
out.
good noise. It jams. It gives you a sports car experience. You're right that it's not the fastest, but it certainly is a lot of fun. And I'm actually engaged and enjoying it. I thought by the end of the week, I would be bored with it, but now I'm psyched to drive it for another 3 weeks.
Okay, would I like it?
You're driving it next,
Okay.
but you're going to have a problem because of your size. All right.
He's not that tall.
No, but Zuckerman he likes the comfort cars lately more than the exotics.
Because I have OLD.
I will say,
But you're driving in the city, right? So here's where it doesn't work. This power line went down in Malibu last Sunday or yesterday. And we're driving back all the way to Topanga. We have to turn around now, go to the 101 and the 405, right? But in that traffic jam, that stop and go, it's not pleasant. And then on the way here today, there was another accident right on the 10. That stop and go, you kind of go, ugh. That traffic jam that only California can offer? Weirdly, I've been in 2 of them in this quiet week.
You got lucky there.
I
I think the
that's
car
where you
is
suffer.
usable. I think it's easy to drive. I think you can put miles on it and not get out buzzed, unlike McLarens and Lamborghinis
Right,
where you're
right.
feeling a little beat up. The
Right.
seats are supportive and they are comfortable.
Seats are really nice,
There's
yeah.
enough headroom in it. So those are all positives.
How much countryman bias do you have for this
How
thing?
much what?
Countryman bias.
Quite a lot. I mean, I had a Lotus Europa. I own a Lotus Esprit. I was really looking forward to getting this car. I do enjoy driving this car, but I think I've reached the limit. Like hitting the rev limit in a couple of gears. You've reached the
that's
limit
true.
of where it is. And yes, it's agile and turns in and all that stuff. But it could be better if it just had a bit more power. And
It's
that's probably where I'm at.
416 horsepower.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that, I will say. And what's it weigh? 3,000 pounds?
Yeah, 3175. 3.5
But it
liter
is
V6.
practical. And in a
And it
sea
is
of
practical,
Caymans,
right.
it does stand out. Like, people don't really know what it is. It looks super exotic.
Right, that's what I mean.
And if we had one that was all black, like if Darth Vader drove an
Yeah,
Evora,
yeah.
that would be awesome. Maybe white's not the color for me, but
See, yeah, the color is affecting
when
it.
I'm trying to get to 4,000 miles, I'm going
When
to
do
keep
they
driving.
freshen that thing? Is that on the books to freshen that car?
I think it should be. I mean, what do you think to the carbon package? They keep talking about that. Those slatted louvers to me need to go so you have more rear visibility.
Stupid.
I notice it collects dust in weird holes in it. Have you noticed that in
Well,
rocks?
look how dirty ours is. Ours is pretty dirty.
But there are rocks. Somehow there are rocks up high in some of the fender slats and in the back, which I just wonder. I was wondering, like, how are the rocks getting up there? Usually they're coming in from the bottom and getting in weird places. They're up high in this car. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the smallness of it.
It is nimble. It is small. It's practical.
What other small sports cars are there like that?
There's that little Alpha that's going nowhere.
What's that?
The little Alpha.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, this is way better than that car. Way better. And because I think there are folks out there that want something that not everyone has. How many of these do they make a year? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I actually have no idea on that. I just want them to bring the Esprit. What I really wanted was an Exige. I always wanted an Exige.
Right.
I always wanted that. And I want them to bring the Esprit back. And I like Lotus. I really do like them. I have a little note here that says F-Type Jag. Are you guys driven that?
New?
Yeah, new.
No, have not. Have you?
Yes, we have.
Go ahead.
I don't really have any thoughts on it. I'm a Jag. And I like Jags because,
Why are you bringing it up then?
Well, you're talking about small cars that are like it.
Oh, I see.
But an F-Type's a lot more car.
That's a different animal, though, right?
Yeah.
That's
I'd
more
only
of a
do it without a
GT than
top.
a sports car, I would say.
Is
I
the
like
Evora a
those.
sports car or is it a GT Tourer?
Well, I would at that size, I'd have
Sports
trouble
car?
saying it's a GT.
Yeah.
GT always, in my mind, is a little bit bigger, a little heavier.
It slides around. Have you slid the car?
Yeah, I mean,
A couple of times with the cold tires, I've been dancing around the road. And
dancing
that
on
was
the
fun.
road, dancing on the pedals.
Doing
Yeah.
one of those as I'm pulling away, kind of pleasantly surprised by that.
I think go drive it harder in the canyons and then
Yeah,
see how
maybe.
it is then.
Yeah, well, I have to. Let's talk about TLG, but let's have a conversation about TLG.
Oh, do you know TLG?
Do you, Magnus?
Yeah, I've known
TLG
I've
Auto?
known Marco since he was a 914.6 kid, probably almost 20 years ago.
Well, then you
Like
would know.
2002.
They're a family-owned Porsche specialty shop located in North Hollywood area of San Fernando. Do you
This
get your
is true.
cars fixed down there? Have you ever had Marco
I
do
have.
your work?
I've known him all the way back when Tony was around. I used to love going over there and listen to Tony and Marco get into spirited
Tony was
conversations.
his dad, right?
Yeah, Tony was his dad who formed TLG back in the 70s.
Wow.
I met Marco through the early S registry and Pelican Parts Forum, I think in 2002.
Wow.
So I've known him a long, long time.
When
I
he
like
was a
him.
young Harry Marco.
Yeah. He was a young Marco. He was in his early 20s back then. He was driving the 914.6.
Well, they do it all there. They do service, they do repair, they do upgrade, they can restore your Porsche, brake jobs, oil changes. They worked on Zuckerman's Monte Carlo car. They sourced seats. They threw away seats and put in better seats. They made fun of seats.
He's got 815 right now. He's got the Tangerine RS.
Oh,
He does.
Ooh.
Yes.
Why? What's going on there?
I all of a sudden had a sick door. The door did not want
Right.
to really open up. And
Uh-oh.
then
Latch.
the annoying door pocket on the driver's side, which I bet back in your day,
Yes.
you fixed that thing.
MacGyvered.
The little metal strip, that little metal
Yes,
trim at the
that's
top
right.
has come loose. I don't want to say that my friend Adrian somehow grabbed it to close the door. as
That's
people
pretty common.
sometimes
Yeah.
do. I don't want to say he did it, but it happened when he got in the car.
Why did Porsche not put the door handle, grab handle on the driver's side door? I don't get
Isn't that weird?
I don't understand
They have it
why
on
they
the
never did that.
passenger.
Yeah, why is it not on the driver's side? Which door gets used more often?
Exactly.
How much weight is it saving on the lightweight?
It's a bizarre thing. So he's doing that, and there is a rattle behind the ashtray.
Uh-oh.
There's a little rattle behind the ashtray, and I said, go through the car
That's
and
not
try
good.
to get a couple of the rattles out.
It's a slippery slope.
Well,
And there you go.
but yes, indeed. And once you start thinking about it,
That's it.
If you want Marco working on your cars, you can go to www.tlgauto.com, www.tlgauto.com.
That's a lot of letters. Just TLG
It is.
Auto.
That's the way he spelled it out there. Look, this is what I'm working
TLGauto.com,
up.
I'm going to say that
These
right there.
for
conversational-
Tony L. Garassi, the
Garassi.
father's, that was the dad's
That's
name.
it. Tony.
TLG, that was dad's initials.
Wow.
Let's drive these pigs. That's was Tony's
Magnus.
sing.
Yes.
Let's talk about you. What are you doing these days? I see you often on Instagram now.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Doing
Instagram.
live spots. What's that all about?
Occupying time while my beard grows, essentially, is what Instagram Live is all about.
You chased down Michael Strahan and
No, I
had
didn't chase him down. It was pretty easy. I texted him. He texted me back. He accidentally butt dialed me from the golf course in Bermuda or somewhere. And then he appeared on the show. I mean, everyone said he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. He's a busy man.
No, he's a car guy.
And then he did it. And it was...
remotely.
Yeah. He was in his garage in Jersey. I met him in New York at a center launch, actually. Over at Bloomberg, and we struck up a conversation. He came up to me, and we kind of kept in touch. And the great thing about him is he'd get back to you within like 10,
He's
15
good.
minutes.
He definitely
He's really
is good.
and
He knows-
super duper knowledgeable.
Nice.
With a very diverse car collection.
Yes.
So yeah, I did an IG live with him. I did one with a chef, some
So
artists.
what are you doing? Are you doing one a week? Is that the idea, or you
No,
just?
there's no plan. I mean, it started with my buddy Phil, Mr. Enthusiast. You probably know him on the Instagram. The British artist guy in New York with the Group B rally cars. I made the Big Apple Outlaw video in his Lancia Delta Grale Evo 2. And he was always saying, we should do a podcast. I go, I've done a lot of podcasts. How are we going to do it? I'm never in one place long enough. And then COVID hit. And then he said, why don't we just do an Instagram Live? And he was the first guy I did it with.
Right.
We had a lot of fun. People seemed engaged because it's just conversation like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did one with Ian Callum. He was like the first car designer I did back in April. And Ian Callum, great guy. I've known him a few years. And the interesting thing after I did Ian Callum was I got an email from Porsche. Why do we not do Instagram Live? So they'd obviously seen, and couldn't understand why I hadn't gone to Porsche first and I'd gone to Ian Callum. And then I ended up doing a bunch with, I did one with Lamborghini, and I did one with Gordon Murray the day after he launched the T50. And the funny thing, what happened is people started coming to me after I'd done the first few and said, hey, do you want to do an IG Live with so-and-so? And I did one with a Michelin 5-star chef, Andrew Carmelini in New York, and Alice Cooper's guitar playing, Kenny Schechter. And for me, it wasn't just about cars. It was art, inspiration, life, people's stories, and a way for me to occupy my time and just have conversations with interesting people. So that's kind of the IG Live story.
What's going on car-wise with you?
Well, I'm always getting out and driving. I drove Zug's E39. What is it, the 03 M5 there?
That's right.
The
Wow.
Mexico car. I'm excited. I'm doing this show with Haggerty called The Next Big Thing, and essentially it's me sort of picking cars that I'm interested in that may be under the radar, the unloved ugly ducklings, or just maybe cars that are not quite trendy yet. And so it's everything from Saab 900s to M5 BMWs to Jeep Grand Wagoneers. We shot 6 episodes featuring 7 or 8 cars, and it comes out next week, so excited about that.
Where were you going to see that?
It's on the Haggerty YouTube channel. It's called The Next Big Thing, and you can check it out next Friday on January 8th, called The Next Big Thing on the Haggerty YouTube channel.
I think I'm the first one, right?
You are the first one. You were the
Wow.
first guy that was shot. We shot Zuck's M5 and Ryan's M5 in the Crest. So you are the crash test dummy. You are
Yes.
the guinea pig. You look great, by the way.
Thank
You
you.
were the first one.
Will comments be turned off when Zuckerman's on?
No,
he's a
comments-
polarizing character.
Comments are always on. Always on. The second one we shot was pretty interesting. Now, I've been chasing a Ferrari 308 GT4
I
Dino.
love those.
Yeah, I like them too. So we shot one of those in a Lamborghini Espada.
Oh wow!
And then we
Fun
shot
cars.
Yeah, and then we shot a Jag XJS, which is on my list, a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, Mercedes wagon where I'm fishing in the LA River. We shot some Toyota Cressida wagons in Little Tokyo at nighttime. So it's kind of a diverse mix of cars in interesting
You
locations.
could really have fun with that. It could be like going back to the roots of Bring a Trailer. You find oddball, weird,
That's the
off
goal.
the radar
Yeah.
stuff that you find somebody who's got that one thing in LA that nobody else
Right.
has. That could be a lot of fun. I applaud that.
Yeah, I mean, I've acquired quite a few cars in 2020. Things I wasn't looking for. 1975 AMC Javelin. Wasn't looking for it, but I had the perfect patina. We traded Hannah's 88 SL Mercedes into a 75 Rolls Royce, which because it had rattles. So be careful with that RS.
Yes.
The Mercedes had a lot of rattles. So I'm on an E-Type Jag Quest. I'm building a hot rod E-Type Jag. I ended up acquiring 2 E-Type Jags.
What's going on with the 901? that you
901?
had back in the days. That's still in
I
there.
no longer own that car. I let it go. That sort of dream of owning a 901, I ticked that box. I never restored it. And I started traveling, essentially. So that was the holy grail of me, the 64 911. As you know, only 232 cars were made.
Yeah.
I had a numbers matching slate gray one. I acquired it under the radar, and it was going to be a dream come true of mine. I once had 5 of the first 1,000 911s. But then I started traveling and met Hannah and sort of moved to New York and traveled the world. And little by little, the sort of priority of restoring that car or the desire to restore that car just sort of drifted away.
Right.
And I let it go at a time which was good for me. And that was it. I realized I would spend a lot of time and energy restoring that car and not drive it any more than my 65 911.
Right.
And it was almost like I'd lost the desire to restore a 65
It was the
911.
finding it.
Yeah, often it's sometimes it's the chase.
The chase,
And as
every
great as
time.
that car is, to me, when I finally got it, I wasn't necessarily in love with it the way I thought I was.
right.
I was gone. And I've restored a lot of early short wheelbase cars, and I kept car number 310, my 65 car. But you're right. Sometimes the chase is better than the catch.
And then the release. And then you release it back into the stream.
Right. That happened to me at one time with turbos. I had 7 930 turbos, 75 through 77. I dropped down to 5. And the last one I sold to this guy in Australia. And he said, "Why are you selling it?" I said, "Well, it's not really my favorite. Plus, long story short, with the money you're going to pay me to buy this car, I'm going to buy a few cars that I really, really want." I ended up buying 4. One was a 996 GT3. I bought a 924 Carrera GT, and I bought 2 other cars with the proceeds of one car that I never drove.
And really expanded the palette.
Yeah, and then I kept the other 5. Just this morning, we were up at literally 5:30 a.m. We were shooting in Elysian Park at 6 a.m. with 3 of my other turbos. So, you know how these cars are. No two ever drive the same. So I'm all about variety. And I didn't need 7 930 turbos. And, I kept the ones that I really connected with, that I really enjoyed driving.
Spike and I have talked about this, that you get one thing. You get a 930 or you get a certain early 911, and you love it so much, you make the mistake of getting a second one.
Of course.
And it does
But
not.
you'll split your joy.
One's never
you
enough.
don't double your joy.
You don't double your joy, you split your joy.
And that's a mistake I constantly
Yes.
make. The splitting of the joy.
A joy split.
A joy split.
So,
You
so
had
that,
it with GT2 RSs.
yes.
It was a joy-splitting experience.
Oh.
And it was the same thing with 73 RSs. I had too.
It always works.
How
Right.
much do you like your 73 RS?
Love.
You
That's
love
the
it.
greatest car in the
It's a
world.
magic car. Come on.
Yeah.
Spike sold
What
it
is
to
your,
me.
what is one car, if you were to pick one 911 that
That-
you love, like that really, and you know, a week from now you can change your mind.
You mean to go get now or one
No,
already
just
have?
one car that you love more than anything. What-
277, the one right there on the Hot Wheels. It's the one I've owned the longest. That's
It would
the
be
one.
that car.
Yeah, I mean, others come and go, like my 75 Turbo, the ice cream metallic one. Really love that. The right-hand drive copper brown metallic one, I drove it today. Don't really love it.
Sometimes love fades.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, driving those 3-liter turbos today and then hopping in the Lotus to drive
Right,
here,
right.
the Lotus just seemed like, wow, this thing's really easy to drive. The early 3-liter turbos, you
yeah.
got to manhandle them, you got to put a boatload of effort in. The steering's heavy, they don't stop good, they're not necessarily that fast.
Right.
So, you got to be in the right space, the right mood. That's not a good commuting car.
Yeah.
The Lotus would be a way better commuting car than an early 3-liter turbo.
Yeah, the Lotus is somebody's idea of a weekend fun sports car.
I think you can
where
daily
you don't want to
Lotus.
kill yourself.
I think you can daily the Lotus.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just.
Once you figure out that annoying key, you'll be fine.
I don't mind it. I like little starting procedures.
Yeah, but
and
you
little things
like that.
that.
You would like fussy things, and if you like fixing something that breaks, and me,
I
if
do.
my key went dead, I'd throw that thing in the fucking right down the
I'm gonna
the
give you
storm
that
drain.
opportunity.
I mean, go down the storm drain. I'd say, come pick this shit up and get it away from me.
The E-Type Jag, you put the key in, you turn it, you press the start button, that's it. You don't have to put the ignition key and turn it, press another button, then press the start
Yes.
button.
It's
One step
definitely
too
not
many.
a good idea, and you're
They
right.
need to get rid of that.
Yes.
Simplify.
I mean,
less
yeah,
is
I would
more.
get rid of the push button. I would just put the key in and turn it on and have an analog thing happen.
I don't
right?
mind the push
Lock
button.
it,
It's a
unlock
step
it.
in between.
Well, okay, the old E-Type was so charming. When you did turn the key just to to that first
Yeah.
spot and you press the
Right.
button, that was wonderfully English and charming
Right.
experience. Except if somebody else got it and then tried to turn it to turn the car on, and then they turn the whole cylinder in the dashboard.
Yeah,
and
that's not good.
That's a terrible
I
experience.
love the E-Types, and we've broken down numerous times in the E-Types in the past couple of months. I waited the day before Thanksgiving, Friday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 95 degrees. I'd just done 100 miles in the E-Type, no problem. I'm on the 10 right over there, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Car dies. I have to push it off the freeway, and then I waited 2 hours for a AAA to pick me up. So, but I still love them.
What happened? Did something happen to the rear window on that E-Type?
Oh, well, at one time, the trim had come off. I had the latch open, I dropped the latch, and the glass fell right through. So that happened to it. But that was old rubber that had shrunk up, and then it didn't have the aluminum trim around to keep it in place. I've fixed that problem.
But how can you enjoy these cars? You're such a 911 aficionado, right?
Variety.
Like us, don't
Counterpoint,
you compare?
counterpoint.
I like variety more and more, too. I do.
This guy doesn't eat at Cicconi's every day, right? But he likes it, but he doesn't eat there every day.
You need a counterpoint. You need something different so you can get back
Reference
to your core
point.
pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
You need a reference point
Yeah.
to go back and go, you know what?
It's true.
You know,
Well, why aren't you driving Land Rovers?
I'm not doing that much overlanding. I'm not doing that much overlanding or off-roading. Overland. Here's one point I do want to make. Last year I bought a GT2, 996 GT2. You know, 2002, 18 years ago, that's the holy grail car,
Yeah.
right?
Widowmaker, dangerous.
Widowmaker.
Yes.
Last year I drove a lot of new 992 Porsches. I basically drove everything they had. And the base model Carrera 2, right? One step above base, 2S, turbo, non-turbo. Basically has the same spec. You can get it manual. You can get it two-wheel drive. And it's got the same horsepower as the 996 GT2.
Right.
You go, wow, look how far they've progressed, right? That was king of the hill 18 years
And
ago.
what's funny, Magnus, is that I heard all the stories about how that car was a Widowmaker. When I got one, I didn't find it that hard to drive.
Right.
Maybe it's having had a 930, knowing about how how the boost comes on, and some of those cars.
It's the teeny wheels. I had it on the track, and I had trouble with it on the.
Which one?
The 996 GT2.
The same one we're talking about,
the same
separated
literal
by
car.
17 or 18 years.
Yeah. It did things I didn't want it to do, and I got on it too hard. It was because of the teeny tiny wheels. They're just not enough. They're not big enough to
18
handle the
inch?
horsepower.
Not big enough.
Yeah, they're not.
You need those steamroller 21 inch on the new turbo.
Let's talk about 992s, because I don't know about you, but I'm more excited about this line of new 911s than any other 911 I've seen in quite some time. Do you feel that way?
No.
Why?
Well, I've driven them all. I mean, the Turbo S is the king of the hill, whatever it is, 641
Right.
horsepower, makes the GT2 we're talking about, 996, seem slow because it's got 200 more horsepower, but more importantly, it's four-wheel drive. It puts that power down. You're not spinning the wheels. There's no loss of traction. It pulls and pushes you wherever you're going. It's got the rear steering. It's easy to drive. It's comfortable. You can get in and go anywhere. Maybe that is the only car you need, maybe. But to me, it's not, and I get it. You can drive to Vegas and back in it. But to answer your question, I'm not super duper excited about it. I've never owned a new 911. Physically never owned a new one. Because I go, how much is that car? $150? New 992 Turbo S?
Yeah.
The way I acquire cars, I could get 5 or 6 cars for that.
But I just mean now, in theory, like, we've seen a lot of these runs of 911s. You're an older gentleman. You've seen them coming out since the 993, the 964s. 964s weren't well-received cars.
I'm looking
were
at them now,
tricky, and it took quite some time. The 993, I remember people being pretty excited about them. I was excited when I got one, and then my excitement has since faded for those cars.
For the 993?
They're too bubbly. Yeah, they feel
It's
awkward
a Cadillac
right
of
now.
911s.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's just the way tastes change. But this 992, we've had a couple of them already. I just enjoy the car a lot. And it might be that I'm just older and I've got kids that throw in it.
It is an older man's 911.
But it is fast. It handles well. And I find that, I hate to keep saying this and I get made fun of, but it talks to my phone the second I get in.
I still haven't figured any of that out.
Everything's where I need it to be.
Hannah's great at that.
But it's making my life better and easier.
Right.
When I want to drive it in the canyon, I can have fun in it. It's making a great sound. I'm just super excited about the GT3. I can't wait to drive that car.
I can't wait for that. But my beef with the car, if I have one, I think it's really well executed. I definitely, going back, I was really enthusiastic when the 997s came out.
Yeah.
I thought that was a return to form. I thought the GT3s were terrific. I was a little less enthusiastic about the 991s when they came out. I'm more enthusiastic about this car than a 991. What I don't like is the size, and I don't like the blind spots at the C-pillars. It's so antithetical to the whole concept of what a Porsche is supposed to be. You're not supposed to have a blind spot.
Don't drive a Chiron Sport then, Zuckerman. It takes up the lane and then part of the other lane. That's what that does.
Like an H1.
Yes.
There's
You
no
are
question.
just jammed
all
in a
these new
tube.
Porsches, though, do everything really well. Whether it's a Macan, a Cayenne, a Panamera. You know, there was a Panamera on the New Year's Day run that was really fast. The Taycan's really
It's
fast.
beautiful. I love what they do with the Panamera,
all excel at
too.
everything.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm buying one.
I think the only thing I didn't like is the way it looked from the back, and after I drove it, it kind of went away.
No, you don't see it when you drive it.
Yeah, no, it's do I like the experience, and then I tend to forgive the issues I have with the way it looks, right, or anything else that's going on.
I mean, they do everything you want them to do. You just kind of less engaged.
And I find I'm in that, that pattern of it's exciting until the turbo comes out. I had a Porsche drive car for 3 months, and
isn't every 911 a turbo now, though?
Yes.
Yeah, they are, but not like the turbo.
The turbo, non-turbo. Yeah.
You just have to get past that.
The turbo.
Nomenclature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to stay boosted.
It gets murky. It's muddy.
It's muddy.
It's not great. I was behind the turbo Taycan on the way here. And what is that blue they make? That lovely light blue that's like Meissen blue. It's like the color of your pools.
What exactly is the turbo in the turbo Taycan?
Nothing.
It's just a name.
Oh,
It's
like
indicative of being
top shelf marketing.
Top shelf model.
Yeah,
got it,
yeah.
got it.
Yep.
But it doesn't make sense. But it's just, I don't know. I got excited.
It's good to be
I've
excited.
just been liking these 911s from the very moment I drove the 992 U-Gut Zuckerman that we went in on.
Well, that's a good color, the green one, Aventurine green,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, but I
That's
just
a great
liked
color.
it right from the start. I just and I'm excited about where these 992s are going.
What about paint to sample 992s? Is that a subject you guys talk about?
I don't care about paint to
Yeah.
sample anymore.
What
Who
I'm going to
gives a
say
shit?
is that I don't think that there truly is paint to sample.
Yeah.
I think that for an anointed few, there is a very wide palette of colors you can choose from. But could you say, I want the bronze of like
Copper brown metallic.
Yeah, like copper brown
Yeah.
metallic of say Jim Rockford's car.
No.
I want you to match
Yeah,
a 73
Yes.
Trans Am.
That's something that could be the
Firebird.
next
I
big
don't
thing.
think you're going to get that.
You're not
going
gonna
to
get that.
And
Let's
that's
do
what
that.
real
That's a good
PTS
idea.
is.
I want to.
Can we do that?
Would you want to do that?
My problem with paint to sample is back, like we're talking about 996 GT2s. There were a couple of them that year that were paint to sample.
Yeah.
There weren't 200 of them or
Didn't you get
300.
one?
It's just not
that Adriatic Blue.
Adriatic Blue. Jerry spec
Yeah.
that car up. But paint to sample used to be a very exclusive
Right.
option that is now.
It's
To the
different of the
masses.
Anybody
exclusive
can get it.
Everyone
manufacturer.
can have shrimp now.
You know
Yeah,
what you
right.
can't get, though? You cannot get a tartan interior still.
What?
You can't get a tartan interior, what you'd call plaid.
Oh, tartan.
Tartan.
Right.
Yeah, you can't get that. You can still get
You
Pepita,
can't get the
houndstooth.
inserts?
No.
Oh.
Somehow it doesn't come up to whatever the code is.
I just don't think paint to sample is special anymore.
No.
As the world
Well,
fills up with paint to sample, it's like just get a
Especially when you
color
go to
that
Cars
like.
and Coffee and there's 18 GT3s.
But
Yeah,
I still like,
right,
I,
right.
I like that people are willing to put color out there now. There seemed to be a period of time up until
Color
say,
is good.
5 years ago that it was all black and gray, silver. Now there's a palette out there.
That's good.
And I like to see them. I don't necessarily want to be in them, right? But I like to
You
see
like to
them.
see him.
Yeah. That is
Are you guys
true.
excited about the 25th anniversary of the Boxster?
No.
See, that is this year. It's the 25th
you
anniversary
throwing a
of the
party?
Boxster. I'm not throwing any party.
Should
but
we get some sort of?
mark my words, it's the 25th anniversary of the Boxster. It's the next big thing.
I do like the big. I think about my first Boxster fondly when it
You owned the
first came
Boxster?
out.
Okay.
Because it was the first new car I ever bought, and I liked it, and it was fun, and I had a memorable drive with Seinfeld. And I think about maybe I shouldn't have let that car go. But they're so primitive when you look back
Yeah.
at them than when they first came out. And I love the Boxster. I think it's an amazing car.
A
An
lot of
early
bang for the
Boxster
buck.
S might be fun to have, just to throw around.
Right.
Yeah. I think
Could you modify it like a Miata and turn it into a little
Of course
racer?
you could.
and-
Of course.
Of course.
Absolutely, 100%. There was a rumor, that Jerry had one in every color?
Boxster.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
he did not. No,
Of course
Hold on,
he
hold
had silver with red. That's all
Didn't
he
he
had.
have the first U.S. Boxster?
Yes, but that's a dubious claim because then I had. How do I know mine wasn't? They were delivered on the same day.
Yeah, it's
So
VIN
he's
number.
got the first, And I also had the first.
I think
Here's
Porsche
what I
required
hear-
that car back, actually.
They did,
Yeah.
and maybe it was, but
Yeah.
I know these were the first delivered in California.
Ah.
That was the only boast
Okay, the
we
claim
had.
to
People
fame.
must have been blown away seeing those cars. Those cars did make they looked awfully
didn't know.
strange at the
I
time.
told you that this woman came out of a 7-Eleven or a gas station and said, I don't know if that's the front or the back. And really, that's what we were thinking, too. Now you look at that car and you go, well, obviously, that's the front and that's
It's
the
not a
back.
Corvair, right?
But there wasn't any little car like that on the road other than like
No.
a Miata, right? That was it. So it was pretty sweet, and they felt so fast at the time, and now they're just not.
And I actually remember people getting out of their 993s and into Boxsters.
No. Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Jeff Greenberg. Our friend
Yeah,
Greenberg
yeah.
did that.
Went from
There
a
was-
993 to a
Yes,
Boxster.
yes,
People
sir.
still have a chip on their shoulder about that car. They think it's
Yeah.
a lesser Porsche. It's a feminine
It's certainly
car.
not a lesser Porsche. I mean, to me, people ask me all the time, what's the best first-time Porsche? And I go, well, it depends on money, right? But if you got 5 to 10 grand, Boxster all day
But
long.
if you connect it to a speedster, like a late 50s speedster, this is the modern speedster.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. It's fast. It handles like it's on rails.
And you
it's
can't buy a-
mid-engine, so perfect weight balance. You jam it around Mulholland. You have a good time in it.
I think
You
we
can't
should
beat
get
it.
an early first-generation Boxster
Go spend
S.
10 grand and get a Boxster. Come on.
Get a perfect Boxster S and just fuck around.
Is it going to
Yeah.
have sticky knobs? I think they're going to have sticky knobs.
I don't like how that sounds. You're saying that the plastic back
Yeah.
then deteriorated
Yes.
and the rubber? Yeah, that does happen.
But it would be. What would you put in that, Magnus? You're a hot rodder. What would you do to a car like that?
Cayman GT4 motor in an early Boxster.
Would
then
that work?
And then I'd put a roof on it. I'm sure my buddies at Sharkworks could make that work. They can make anything.
I thought they just did exhausts.
No. They did 4.1 conversions on the 997 GT3 RS.
Wow.
Well, perhaps one of the greatest builds they did was
Yeah.
the 4-liter, the 4.1
Wow.
on the 997 GT3 RS. Yeah, they're a lot more than exhaust. And they do gearing for the Cayman GT4, shorter gear ratios, because everyone bitches about, at least the last
That's
generation.
expensive,
tall
though,
gears.
right?
Have you seen the Club Sport car?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's amazing, right? It's made of hemp. The doors are made of hemp, right? Something you smoke.
Return to nature.
Would you smoke a Porsche door?
I've never smoked. Looks
joking,
are
Magnus.
deceiving. No,
I'm
true
joking.
story. You can joke,
the
but
hemp-
I'm telling the truth.
Do you know that the hemp is 1/10 the price of carbon fiber?
Wow, I did not know
Is
that.
it 1/10 as strong?
1/10. Just as strong and lighter, they said. But imagine, I wonder, do you think Porsche will lower the price?
No.
No. Is that all?
Charge
just
you
pure
more
profit?
for less. Come on. More
It's
for less.
pretty sweet. And when you open the door of that Club Sport, it's like paper. It's like this. You don't even feel it. It's the lightest thing I've ever felt.
If it caught on fire, what would it smell like? Cheech and Chong up in smoke.
Probably. It's a pretty neat car, but you can't register those, right? Those aren't.
Do you
those are
have to
just
register
race
them?
cars?
Depends who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
It's kind of like the
Are you a
935 GT2 RS, right?
Right.
Not
Are you a
streetable.
dealer?
No.
Why not become a dealer? You got a space down there. You've got cars.
Same
You
as
just
us.
get that
we
dealer
never
plate.
got around to it.
I never got around to it.
No sales tax.
We've been saying for years we're going to do that. Have
we have
ever
a
done
plan.
it?
Dealer plates?
We have a plan.
We even had the name of our dealership.
What was it going to be called?
Morris Solomons for our
Purveyor of fine automobiles.
Yes,
nice.
Morris being his grandfather,
Nice.
Solomon my father.
Nice.
Yes.
So, what do you two have on the wish list? I know you partner up on cars. What do you guys have on the list?
GT3 for sure.
Yeah.
GT3 for sure.
Okay.
And I'm excited about all the new stuff that's coming out at the top end of the 992 food chain.
Okay.
What do you know? Have you heard anything?
I don't know anything. I was supposed to go
I
on
s-
that drive. Did you do the drive at Porsche Experience Center with all the GT3s?
No, but I've driven all of those
Yeah.
cars before, so I
Yeah.
didn't feel bad about it.
Yeah, somehow I was doing an IG live with Porsche Experience Center Atlanta, and it was the same day as the drive here, but that looked like a pretty fun drive.
I hear, and I don't remember who I heard it from, but a new GT2 RS.
Really?
That's what I heard.
Early
and
in
I don't
the
know
cycle,
how.
huh?
Yeah, I heard
They're
that was a
accelerating it.
possible.
They know how to pluck us.
Here's what I honestly think Porsche needs to do, honestly.
All right.
They need a new Halo car. The
Agreed.
918 has been a long time coming. That car came out, 2012, 2013 officially.
Right.
But it's been around since 2011 with the
Right.
battery in the driver's seat.
We're
and then
almost
they
there.
released it in 2013 at the Frankfurt Auto Show. I was there.
It's an 8 to 10 year cycle, right?
Right. So, you think of hypercars, right, and all these other names. What is Porsche needs a new Halo car. GT2, GT3 RS, yes, they're awesome. But they need a new poster on the wall Halo 918 replacement.
What would you recommend they make?
Well, all those renderings that they'd done years ago, my buddy Mitya worked on them. They circled them out a couple of months ago, the 917. Do a streetable
that was a great
917,
design.
right?
I like that.
The 904, the 906. Everyone's doing these bespoke cars,
Wow.
Ferrari, Aston, whatever it is. We're only
Yeah.
making 100 of them. Why? Porsche's great at that. Why is Porsche not doing that?
You know, they just put out a specialty hoodie of the 917.
A specialty hoodie.
Yes, both my
Ain't
boys
you
have
like
them.
hoodies?
There's one in Atlanta, and there were a couple of them down here.
A hooded sweatshirt.
It's a hoodie, but
Is it a zipper hoodie or a pullover hoodie?
It's just a pullover.
Okay.
But it's notable because it kind of came out of nowhere, and I took note of it. I'm like, why the 917
Is that why it was
all of a
notable?
sudden?
Yeah.
You might have something. And then they released the 917 study, and maybe
Yes.
it was, like
Well,
Russian
we could-
propaganda.
okay.
There's a little bit
That
of
could
truth
be- that
blended
could be a
into
real
the
plan
other
Z.
stuff.
Could be.
Russian problem.
You know, when
Compromat.
when the Russians release propaganda, they
kernel
leak
of truth.
they leak real emails, and then they just jump in a couple of fake message things. This
Yeah.
could be the inverse of that. The 917.
917, yes.
Maybe that whole design thing was about the 917.
Could be.
Wow.
One step back from 918, right?
I believe that. That would be an amazing thing. Would you buy that car?
So all what I call OPP, other people's Porsches. Fun to drive, don't have to own them to experience them.
What would you do if you were designing the 917? Make it a street car or make it geared for the racetrack?
No, it would have to be streetable. I think I
Has
think
to.
the 935 GT2 RS. We're only making 77 of them. They're not streetable. You're never going to see them on the street. I know a buddy who owns 2 of them here in LA in raw carbon. They've never been driven, never been tracked. Why is Porsche making these cars that are so out there that you're never going to see them on the street?
Right.
Guys are speculating, flipping
frustrating.
them.
I feel the
They're not
exact
being
same way when I
driven.
see
So make something streetable. Why make 77 of them? You could have made 1,000 of them.
Right.
That's my sentiment right there. I find it kind of frustrating.
So make a 917.
Streetable.
That's streetable.
And don't make it limited. If you can sell 1,000 of them, sell 1,000 of them.
It would have to be a little bit of a race car. But that's easy.
GT2, GT3 RS. These are
Yeah,
streetable
right.
race cars off the showroom floor. Why don't they make 917 of them that look like that 917, 918?
Brilliant.
I could help them with this.
I'm sure.
Because I've driven cars now. The Senna. Have you driven a Senna?
No, never driven
It's
a Senna.
so track focused, you can't quite enjoy it on the street. Mm-hmm. And the Veyron, the Chiron Sport, is almost too street without enough track.
Oh.
It's somewhere in the middle there
The happy
is the
medium.
perfect happy medium.
That's
Or
the
a
Lotus
button
Evora
that-
GT right there.
Yeah,
The happy medium.
but don't you agree? Like a button that could just make the car a street car and then open up the race car might be more important. That comfort mode. There's a bigger gap between comfort mode and race mode.
Yeah, because ultimately the goal would be to drive to the racetrack in the
Right.
car. Willow Springs is 95
I
miles
don't just
away.
want a nod in the modes. I want a real big fat difference.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's important. Streetable track car.
Yeah, that would be good.
917.
Well, there you
You
go.
guys have solved it.
Solve the problem.
We've solved Porsche's problems
It'll be out
once
for
again.
2022.
Here on this lovely Sunday at the Zuckerman Palace. Oh,
Whoa,
look, the lights
whoa,
just
did you
came
turn
on.
those on automatically?
I texted my son.
Oh,
there he is.
Yes.
Oh, he's walking through.
Yes.
Well, Magnus, thank
walking
you for coming by, man.
I mean, it was
and
just
doing this.
awesome, to share the lack of sunset with you guys. It was pretty awesome.
Thank you for the
Yeah,
Hot Wheels.
Thanks for the invite.
You want to follow our friend Magnus Walker? You're most present, I think, on Instagram.
Yeah, just on the gram. Magnus
Find him
Walker.
there. He's doing live Instagrams with a variety of notable car collectors and artists.
Don't for-
Zuckerman, what are your hopes and fears and thoughts for the new year?
My hope is I get a fucking vaccine quick. My fear is that idiots will not take the vaccine. I'm sorry if I.
But doesn't
if
that
I'm
mean
too-
more vaccine for you?
No, just hey, kid. I mean, okay. I respect you if you don't want to do it, but honestly, come on. I put so many things in my body. I can't worry about this.
I don't know how it works. If half of us get the vaccine, aren't we okay to go about our lives?
Yes. But it still is, terrible
It's annoying
going
to you.
on. Society. I want people to get vaccinated. I want to get back to work, having fun, making money. I want a new Roaring 20s. This is going to be the Roaring 20s.
The 20s.
Unfortunately, I'm a little aged out of that, but I want to see it.
He doesn't know
I want
that.
to see flappers. I want to see
Raw
bob
girls.
haircuts
Yeah.
and funny dances. I
Lots
want
of
to
See
see
beats.
when everything's back to normal.
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a licentious time.
Yeah. I kind of like it the way it is right now. Things are kind of.
I don't
like the dying, but I like rolling up to a restaurant and they just bring the food out to you. No one sits near me anywhere I am. No one stands near me anymore.
I want to forget. I don't want to be horrified when people come by talking loud and
spitting in your face,
and spitting in my face, and I don't want to think about aerosol droplets anymore.
Yes.
And all of these things. I want to move past that.
Yeah. I think. I hope that stays the same. It's been very nice not smelling anybody's breath, hasn't it?
That is a nice
That's
thing.
since March. I haven't smelled anybody's breath.
Wow, that's okay. I like that. That's a good point. But besides that, COVID sucks.
Beside that,
what
have the Romans done for us?
Well, would you take us out with Jay and Jerry?
Yeah, he was at the Cars and Coffee today. I missed him. Wait, Spike, where are you? Where you didn't come today? No, I don't want to die, Jay. And I'm working on something with Seinfeld. Who's that? Is that Leno? Tell him we're working on something. Jerry's a slave driver. He's got you working on a Sunday, huh?
Always my favorite part of the show.
Was actually going on that way. I've got to get this done because Magnus is coming over. Hello, Spike. Let me tell you about Porsche. I'm still working on my Magnus.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing with that Porsche?
Do me then.
Yeah, we do you all the time, Zuckerman. Yeah. As soon as this is over, I'm going to go down to that newsstand because I saw this girl down there. I'm going to kidnap her, make her my hostage. I'll send you the pictures.
That sounds like me.
That's how Zuckerman is.
Yes.
Anyway, I do the impressions because I love you all. Thank you for listening, everybody. Magnus, please tell Hannah that we'd love to have her back on the show someday.
When she gets her blessing.
Big fan favorite. They ask about her all the time.
That's it. Everyone loves her. The tall, talented, sexy Miss Hannah Elliott. She'll be here real soon. I want to thank you guys for having me on.
Happy New Year.
Pedal to the metal for 2021. Cheers.
And, all of you guys, I hope you have a better 2021. We'll see you next week. Spike's Car Radio. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.